Do you have your students write regularly? How do you introduce writing in your classroom? Today I've got 5 tips to get your students writing in your language classroom. Stick around until the end where I give you my ultimate time-saving grading secret. My name is Scott, and you're watching Immediate Immersion, where we're all about comprehension-based instruction in the modern language classroom. We'll be right back. Number 1. Introduce writing through write and discuss. You want to scaffold writing by doing a write and discuss together with your students. Write and discuss is where you're asking questions to either review or create a story. As students come up with the answers, you'll write the sentences on the board as students copy them down in their notebooks. So to get students in the habit of writing a story, I'll ask leading questions so that we can create a story together. As we come up with sentences, I will write them on the board as students copy them down. I like to use a bit of metacognition as we do this activity. As we write the story, I'll point out the different parts of a story, like the character, the problem, the failure, and the success, so students see how a story is structured. I'll also use this time to point out any grammatical structures or unique spellings. For all levels except level 1, I start this process right away within the first week or so. But for level 1, I'll start this around week 9 or 10, and they'll start writing independently on their own around week 12 or 13. Number 2, write weekly. Writing itself does not lead to acquisition, but it does lead to confidence, which is so important when creating language. That's why I have my students write every week without fail. My students are more confident in their writing because we write weekly. I start my students writing quick writes the very first week of school. I do this so that I have a baseline for each student that is not influenced by current instruction. For level 1 students, they won't start writing independently until week 12 or 13. We want to wait with true beginners because we want them to have enough input to be successful. That doesn't mean that they aren't writing before then. They just aren't writing independently. They are mostly copying things we write together. Many teachers believe that if you're having students write weekly, you need to give a weekly grade. Wrong. There isn't much improvement from one week to another, so grading weekly is definitely overkill. Plus, grading that many papers is time-consuming and will drain you of any will to live. Number 3. Write class stories together once a month. Even if my students are experienced writers, I still like to write class stories together at least once a month. It's a great way to highlight any common errors that your students are making and to continue showing students how to create a story. Again, you'll ask leading questions to either review or co-create a story. As the students come up with the sentences, you'll write them on the board and students will copy them in their notebooks. This is also a great time to provide more input to your students by reviewing the story as you go using questions about the content. Number 4. Give positive comments. There's no need to write negative or corrective comments on students' papers. Studies have shown that the benefit of this is negligible at best. Plus, it takes you a lot of time to make all of those corrections only to watch as students look at their grade and then promptly toss all of your hard work in the trash. Even if you make students rewrite or correct their mistakes, there's little evidence to show that the effects are long-lasting. So what do you do to get students to improve their writing? First, as Bill Van Patten says, The only way to further acquisition is through more input. Give more opportunities for students to read in your class. They need not only guided reading in class, but also plenty of opportunities for independent reading. A silent reading program is a great way to accomplish this. But in addition to more reading opportunities, writing positive comments on their papers boost students' confidence and make them want to write more. I will generally write a single sentence that may or may not have anything to do with the language. I might write something like, "funny story," or "I like your character." I might also write something like, "nice verb," or "awesome use of the past tense," or just a simple, "nice work," or "excellent." If I can't find anything nice to say, I'll simply put a smiley face on the paper, and that's just enough for many students to feel successful. And that's the point. If students feel successful in their writing, they'll want to write more and improve. If they feel like they are horrible at writing, it will be torture each and every week. Number 5. Grade at random using a rubric that focuses on comprehensibility. Many teachers grade quick writes based on the number of words or their level of accuracy, but both give a false sense of what a student can do in the language and can be detrimental to their overall success. Grading on number of words places an overemphasis on quantity over quality. I have many students who can write a lot of crappy words, while other students write fewer words, but they are a masterpiece. Why should the former get a better grade than the latter? Now, I do keep track of the number of words each student writes as a form of a growth chart, but this is not for a grade, and it's just for me to discover trends. And we also have to remember that we are dealing with beginners. Even in upper levels, they are still beginners with less than 500 hours of class time, so they're not going to be very accurate unless they are sticking to rote, memorized phrases. So what do? Instead, we want to focus on comprehensibility. How comprehensible is the text to a native speaker of the language? You and your students will find much more success using comprehensibility as the basis for a writing grade than accuracy. And remember, if it's horribly inaccurate, it won't be very comprehensible. You can download the rubrics I use in my classroom at mm.us/rubrics. And remember, just because your students are writing every week does not mean you have to grade every week. Choose a week to grade at random, aiming to grade 2 or 3 quick writes per grading period. But don't let students know in advance which quick writes you are grading, or they'll only try on those ones. My students don't know if I graded them until they get them back with a grade. Now here's my ultimate time-saving secret when it comes to grading writing. Once I figured this trick out, it has saved me a ton of time, not to mention my sanity, and I haven't looked back since. Remember how I told you not to grade weekly and to randomly select a week to grade? Well, here's the secret. Choose only one class set to read. What? That's right. Each week you'll choose only one class set of quick writes to grade. You're welcome. Yes, that's less than 40 papers a week, and that can easily be done on your prep period. Grading only one class set per week allows me to grade at least 2 or 3 quick writes per student per grading period without putting too much grading stress on myself. And the benefit to the students is that they get their papers back with a grade within 24 hours. So there you go. My 5 tips to writing in the language classroom and my bonus time-saving grading tip. You can download these tips for free at mm.us/writing. If you found these tips helpful, hitting the like button would be incredible, and consider subscribing if you want more videos on teaching in the modern language classroom. Want to watch more? Click on one of the videos YouTube has picked out for you. Happy comprehensible input!